Hello, hello. And hi, Chrys.
Hi.
Welcome back for discussion 41.
41.
Yeah,
Very fun. Yes. Mm-hmm.
41. Love is the wisdom behind awakening. Hi, Teresa. Thank you for saying hi. Welcome, everyone. Hi, Craig. And let me go here. This is our little banner. Hi, Laura. So we want to continue this discussion that we kind of did not finish the last time we were together. Hi, Lisa and Kimberly. So, and I think, did you say that last time we did talk about, hi, Carol, we did talk about Maya Angelou. Didn't Maya Angelou, she came in and spoke to us.
That's right.
She gave us a message.
We'd probably come in again. But yeah.
Yes. But we are going to play a clip of hers today. She has quite a story herself, and of challenges and oppression, and her free will being taken from her. And we talked about that a little bit as well. That that's the biggest grievance against another human, is to take their free will. And when and it comes in many forms, and there's many layers to it, or it's like on a spectrum of free will taken from you. Some can be just absolutely horrendous. At the highest end of that is someone takes your life, and that is the highest grievance. In taking your free will. But you can see the oppression on people groups, and their free will being taken, over history, on whole people groups. But we talk a lot about women, and so I don't want to negate the people groups, but in our discussion, we're talking about women in general. We have been talking about women. We have talked about the people groups and all of that, but we've been talking about this oppression on women and the free will being taken from us on the spectrum, right? So when I say that, and I want to hear from the family here too, what do you guys think of when I say that? When our free will is taken, if you look at the people group of women, and our free will being taken from us, can you think of examples of that yourself, that you've seen in your life or that's happened to you? But it can be that you get paid less than your coworker. That is part of that is an assault on your free will. And so it can be that. It can be in your own home, how you're treated in your own home. And it could be, so many different layers. Chrys, can you think of anything that...
Yeah, like everything.
Yeah. I mean, really, it's...
When you started talking, I pulled a card. Gates of Triumph.
Gates of Triumph.
That's your life.
That's what we're doing.
That's what we're doing. Yeah. That's pretty cool. Yeah.
Where we are opening, those gates are open, and we are out of here on how it's been done, and how we've been oppressed. Texas alone, right, Laura? Texas is literally infringing on the free will of all women in Texas.
Can we talk about what just happened? That woman's life is being threatened, and the baby is not survivable.
Right.
The Supreme Court ruled that she can't get an abortion.
Right. So the one judge and ruled that she could get an abortion, and then it was overruled by the Supreme Court. And oops, I'm gonna go like this. I'm gonna star all of your star all of, and we'll go through those. But if you write something, we'll go ahead and star it. Yeah. So there's one story, and I think I brought this up. Lisa and I talked about this on Friday night. But that's one story out of many, many stories coming out of Texas, out of Tennessee, out of all those oppressed areas. And but if we could foster the energy of non-shame, because again, they also, with that, they put you in an area of shame. And so if we could collectively erase the energy of shame behind all this, that people could just speak out again with any of the oppressive free will things being taken from us. Sorry.
Yeah. I think it happens. I was watching a movie the other night, Palms, with Diane Keaton. It's about a woman who's probably in her 70s or 80s, living in New York City. And she leaves New York City to, she's been diagnosed with cancer. So she's refusing chemo. And she picks up a place in Georgia, a senior living center. And she joins forces with all these elderly women. And they're all different types. And it's really about them seizing their power. And you get to see little snippets of how oppressed they are in different ways.
In different ways, yes. It's
right.
Beautiful. Yeah.
From the husband who says you can't do that, to the
son,
women who say you can't do that, to what?
A son who says you can't do that.
Son who takes charge of his mother and doesn't let her speak, to, all of that. And she comes out as a powerful, reclaiming herself woman who's dying, basically. And what a beautiful story. What a great story, because they go on after her. And she's wonderful, but it's such a reminder, and it's a small reminder, but it still has a lot of impact of how almost every walk of life has been affected by male power, basically. Men. And I had a reading yesterday, and the message that came through over and over again was about belief and perspective. And part of what we do to participate in our own oppression is we believe we should, instead of believing differently. And that's what I think the message is about a lot of this, which is about belief. That's why Maya Angelou's work is so powerful.
Yeah, belief, and the narrative that has been told us to how to respond or react to how we're of the oppression. So looking at some of the answer, people who, thank you for chatting in the chat and bringing and being part of the conversation, you guys. Appreciate you. So Sharon brings in, you're not eligible for certain positions.
That's right.
Lisa says, in the workplace, a lesser salary isn't the only issue. Being heard and recognized, you're overlooked. You're overlooked. And when you bring, even if you bring highlight to a situation,
right,
they dismiss you. You're dismissed.
Right.
Yeah. Sharon says the Catholic Church. Yeah, there's another good one where your free will is
a lot. Well, the Catholic Church is really the institution that's done a lot of damage because of a belief. the belief that women should be managed, not equal. There was one in here about the military. I had a student a few years ago who was stationed in Afghanistan. And she said in order to take a shower
Mm-hmm.
as a military person, she had to duct tape a knife to her leg. Not because she was at risk of the Afghans, but the troops that were there were from all over.
Mm.
They could assault her at any moment. So that's, your body is yours, not theirs.
Right.
Not theirs to use or abuse. And they know it has power.
And it's so interesting that that this is an issue that men feel they can assault.
Yeah.
Like, I'm gonna like, wow. I mean, that is also something that is old and deep energy that needs to be erased, where this anger towards women and assaulting and power play and to do such an egregious assault on someone's free will like that. Yeah. Okay. Kentucky now has a woman who is publicly fighting. Good. So it's taking that. And so that's what we need to do, is kind of bring in that energy of no shame. And this is powerful. Your voice is power. It is power. And bringing it out to the light. Keep telling your stories. Keep stepping out. It's going to take that. And I feel like, Lisa, that's what we kind of got when we read on it. I do want to look at this as well. Kimberly. Let me see. Okay. Did I miss anything? If I missed anything here. Okay. Do you think addiction can take your personal free will? I think addiction can be as a result of this oppression, and we find ourselves in so chicken before the egg thing, egg before the chicken with this, because I feel like part of addiction is trying to mask underlining pain and lack of free will, right? I think that can be a part of that. So, but I do feel that once you get in that, it is taking from yourself. You're just becoming your own enemy in addiction. But
well, addiction can also be a reaction to having had your free will taken
that's
away.
what I'm saying. Yeah, that's repressed rage. You have. Let's see.
Yeah.
Craig says, when I was in the military, if a female member became pregnant with no spouse, she was given the choice of abortion or marriage or separation from the military.
Yeah.
Wow.
Why do these guys believe they have the right to make the decisions about women's lives? Why?
Exactly. How in the world did we get into a place like that?
The last thing I would do in life would be make a decision for somebody else. What is that about?
Yeah. So as we talk, and you guys are all and I love it, being a part of the conversation, it just makes it so much richer. Really exposing some of the areas where our free will is being taken on a daily, and that it's taken for granted. Like, well, that's how it's always been. However, things are changing. And part of the message that was coming in, the channeled message that came in on Friday on members, was that that things are changing. The planet, what was is no longer. Things are changing. So what used to, we're moving into uncharted waters in relation to the energy and the changes of this oppressive behaviors. This is not going to be acceptable on this planet. The energy is pushing it out and exposing it. And that's what we're part of. We're here at this time exposing it, instead of keeping the blinders on and just doing because that's what this is what you always do. No longer is acceptable. And the actual channel had to do with should be the tried and true methods of whatever. It's just not going to be the same. I don't have it directly written down, so I'll have to look for the recording and write it down for you guys, because I don't want to butcher it.
What you said last Friday?
Yeah.
I have it.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go. Chris has it.
Well, I'll get it in a second. It'll take me a minute to get it, but yeah. The issue was about, well, the thought I had when you were talking was the piece about how the previous generation, the generation that I'm a part of, made possible rape crisis centers, domestic violence shelters, with laws that stopped marital rape, made marital rape illegal. That being able to have your own credit, not having.
That was the feminist movement, correct?
That's right. That's right. Which is still alive and well. Thank you.
Thank you.
But we fought pretty hard to get those things. Anyway, I'm not able to get it up as fast as I would like to.
Okay.
All right. So maybe by the end.
That's when it's supposed to be here, it will be here.
Yeah. Right.
Now, Maya Angelou was a forerunner in the fight to bring truth out to the oppression of women and also people group and but also women. And she has quite a story. Can you tell us a little bit about her, Chris? And then we'll share her clip.
I just found what you channeled on Friday.
Oh, okay.
They want you to know that they want you to take your own will on your own ship or right now, and it may feel awkward at first. Again, uncharted waters. This is so if no one else is taking the wheel and you have to take that wheel and you're so listen to that inner guidance, follow that inner guidance, see that the inner guidance kind of oppression because of the narratives that have been pushed on you, that inner guidance telling you that you don't know. You're not good enough. You're lacking here. You're lacking there. So we push down that inner guidance. So when you're forced into taking your own wheel, you're first forced into opening those doors of the inner guidance. Give yourself a break.
Give yourself a
Right.
frickin' break.
But what's embedded in that, what they said was that you believe it's your belief system that's in the way. That you believe that you're not okay, that you believe that they have the right to make a decision about you, that you believe that they know better than you do. It's belief.
Mm-hmm.
Not real. It's not who you are. It's not what you were born into.
Right. But the system has put that in place.
Right.
And the system has given you that perspective. And so until that perspective is widened and awakened, a different perspective. So that's what we're here doing, is opening the perspective and going, oh, okay, and shining light there. That inner guidance piece is super important. You have an inner guidance system that is divine and connected to the collective conscious and to the divine and to the all-knowing and like that. But guess what? Our system has oppressed that down over hundreds of years. It burned you at the stake to shut it down. And so now we're here today, and we are awakening it. That inner guidance.
Yeah, girl. Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about Maya.
Why don't you play the tape? She was.
Well, I want you to tell us about her first, and then I'll play the tape.
I'm not sure I can tell you about her first. Probably you can tell more about her than I can. But she was a major poet, and she was a survivor of childhood sexual abuse, as well as survivor of this slavery. And she spoke at the inauguration and read one of her poems. But the poem that's most famous, I think, is "And Still I Rise." And she has recited it in many, many, many places. But she was very close to Oprah Winfrey, and Oprah referred to her as her mother. But she was one of the most empathic, one of the most powerful women to ever have walked the planet. So I don't know if that's enough, but that's all I've got.
And so part of her she used her platform well to bring awakening, to bring the light to the dark areas, and to bring truth. And so we're gonna play a clip of her reciting "And Still I Rise." So here we go.
Everyone in the world has gone to bed one night or another with fear or pain or loss or disappointment. And yet each of us has awakened, arisen, somehow made our ablution, seen other human beings, and said, "Morning, how are you? Fine, thanks, and you?" It's amazing. Wherever that abides in the human being, there is the nobleness of the human spirit. Despite it all, black and white, Asian, Spanish, Native American, pretty, plain, thin, fat, vowed or celibate, we rise. You may write me down in history with your bitter, twisted lies. You may trod me in the very dirt, but still like dust, I'll rise. Does my sassiness upset you? Why are you beset with gloom? Just because I walk as if I have oil wells pumping in my living room. Just like suns and like moons, with the certainty of tides, just like hope springing high. Still I rise. Did you want to see me broken? bowed head and lowered eyes, shoulders falling down like teardrops, weakened by my soulful cries. Does my sassiness upset you? Don't take it so hard just because I laugh. As if I have gold mines digging in my own backyard. You can shoot me with your words. You can cut me with your lies. You can kill me with your hatefulness. But just like life, I rise. Does my sexiness offend you? Oh. Does it come as a surprise that I dance? As if I have diamonds at the meeting of my thighs. Out of the huts of history's shame, I rise. Up from a past rooted in pain, I rise. A black ocean leaping and wide, welling and swelling, I bear in the tide. Leaving behind nights of terror and fear, I rise. Into a daybreak miraculously clear, I rise. Bringing the gifts that my ancestors gave. I am the hope and the dream of the slave. And so, naturally, there I go rising. Everyone in the
Powerful every time
every time I've ever heard that. She was one time she said that poem to a group of boys who were older, but had been in a Jewish center, and she recited it in front of them and leaned against the table while she was doing it and crossed her legs and just stood there and said, "And still I rise." And then she gave them a whole lecture about what good is it for them to be powerful if the women aren't powerful with them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
She was a powerhouse.
She is a power, so inspiring. Very much. Okay, so love seeing your comments in regard to her Maya and her powerful words here. But she exuded that, and I think she exuded this truth.
Mm-hmm.
And lived it out and spoke it out, not just through the poems, but and like you said, she represented it very clearly. Then she, and you can search her and you can see her at different ages saying this poem and the different energy behind it each time she herself spoke it. So very powerful. And that energy continues to spread. She was definitely a pioneer to bring light to oppression. All right. So looking at some of these starred things I've starred, Lisa, I can remember when telephone books started including with the husband and the wife's name. Mm-hmm. Remember? Yeah, that's right. And that changed. If you got I remember that too. That's so interesting, just in ways like that.
Well, when I worked at the airlines in the 70s and the early 80s, women would call in to make reservations, right? So they would give their Mr. John Smith, but it would be for her, Mrs. John Smith, excuse me.
Mrs. John Smith, yes.
And I'd say, and her first name, Mrs. John Smith. I say no, and her first name, and we'd have to insist. Of course, not everybody did that, but I did it. So, that was.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. They owned you. They owned you.
Mm-hmm.
And that was yesterday, you guys. So MLR says we can make all the societal changes we want, but until we confront the human nature, nothing will change much. So talk to us more about this, ML, about confronting human nature, this human nature piece to it. The human nature, it didn't just start out like that. It was built up through narrative and in this oppression, right? So I'd love to hear more of that from you.
That's the old nature versus nurture
Mm-hmm.
about how we're born. We're not born oppressive, and we're not born violent, and we're not born wanting to keep women in place. That's culture talking.
Mm-hmm.
That's the
mm-hmm. Linda G says in the early 1970s, banks wouldn't give you a credit card or a bank account without a husband. Oh yeah, I remember that. Like that crazy.
Yeah, it's not that long.
It was just yesterday.
Trying to reassert it with all
so things are shifting.
Yeah.
However, you can see people trying to take it backwards. We have someone in the White House right now. What's his name? Johnson.
He's not in the White House. He's in Congress.
Well, Congress. I mean, not White House. In Congress. And he's very clear of what he wants to do. And Lisa, you're still here, right? Reading. She was just reading thoroughly on Project 2025 and their whole idea of wanting to take us back to, not being able to have a bank account or credit card, to do the whole thing.
The great illusion is that they think that they can do that, but the culture went on without them. So
that is, I like that. It's a great illusion.
It's a great illusion. Yeah.
Because culture will not allow it to happen.
No. It turn on the music that young people are listening to right now and listen to the voices and imagine for a minute that they're going to allow this to happen. They're not. So it's really the people making these decisions are out of touch with what's going on in the culture generally.
But it can be stopped. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's very eye-opening, but it can be stopped. But the reason it's eye-opening because you really get an idea of where they're coming from, their mindsets and their desires for society. And so you know who your enemy, what you're battling, for sure. It's very clear. So we have a good idea of our recent history here. We lived it. This is all true. But it's been going on for hundreds of years, this oppression. And I know that I keep going back to when they decided to able to take our free will and control us. They started accusing women of being witches. And, they used it in a derogatory term and made witch being bad, even though, it could have been, doing healing with energy and healing with herbs and understanding the connection and the beautiful things that the planet gives us to help us heal, as well as spiritual, and combining those two things. And that's only a piece of it, I know. But all that to say is that we had an understanding of connection and source and God, and wisdom and knowledge and when men found themselves on the outside looking in and losing control over things, they created that the hunt, the women hunt. Let's just kill the women that are strong and have a voice. And
well, what we really need is for a lot of women to stand up together, just like we did in 2016 with the huge women's marches. We need to do that again. Enough is enough. You cannot make decisions that are good that are about our bodies or about our families. You don't have the right. So we really need that level of mass movement again.
And I see it coming. It's funny that you bring that up, because this morning I was spending time channeling predictions for next year, 2024. And I do see a lot more of activity of marching and that kind of thing, getting out there and getting that taken to the streets is what I'm seeing. Okay, so Lisa says it's all about negative connotations. If you're a powerful woman, you're a bitch, a witch, unreasonable, hysterical, etc. If you're a powerful man, you're an idol. Yeah, I mean, that's absolutely true. It's the narrative, right? So what words are we putting on it? What energies are we putting on? And let's not adhere to that. If we see a powerful woman and you go straight into, oh, well, she's just being a bitch or whatever, just back out of it and go, you know what? No, she's just being a powerful woman, and she's a strong, and we need her. We need that energy. We need that energy moving, whatever. So we also need to check our language as well. So yeah, love that. Hi, Terry. So you're muted, I think, Chrys.
No, I'm not.
Oh, okay.
No.
You just got really quiet.
The dog was barking, yes. So I closed her out.
Craig says, but I've called my powerful man boss up. Okay, keep it even. Just keep it even. That's all.
Great.
All right. Okay. So my dad was a guidance counselor in an era when he told girls they could become teachers, stewardesses, librarians, secretaries. Yes. Yep.
Yeah. I had a professor who told me in graduate school, who told me that I didn't have an analytical bone in my body. And I found out after the fact, I was coaching all the ones who got A's, all the women who got A's, and I was coaching them. But he told me I didn't get it. But I didn't find out until afterwards that he had a sex party with all of them.
Of course.
He wasn't invited. So, yeah. They get away with this stuff all the time.
Yeah. The things that women have had to do to be recognized or seen or get forward. It's just wrong. Yeah. Women in sports, she throws like a guy, he throws like a girl. Yeah. Right. Yeah. Those things need to change.
Right.
And so again, it's just about exposing, and within our own little spaces, within our own little worlds, we can make a change in it. But again, in my 2024, I do see us marching. That we're going to be getting out and screaming more.
Nice.
But sadly, things are going to get worse in order to push us out of our homes to get out there and scream. So that also is a piece of that. Mm-hmm. And so like what you see in Texas happening, it's just going to get worse until we can't handle anymore. We're going to get out there in the streets again and start screaming and protesting and bringing light to this. It has to happen. Unfortunately, the way that our perspectives can get change is through media. And so until we're out there bringing something more to media to show, media is just going to show what they're going to show, right? Lisa's still pissed that her middle school teacher discouraged her from taking up drums and trumpet because the boys needed them. See? Always privileged.
Yeah. You still can. You still can pick up the drums.
You just take up those drums,
you still
Mama.
can have attitude.
You just take them up now.
You still can.
Yeah. But that goes to show you, it was just like that.
That's what we're talking about, reclaiming our power.
Mm-hmm.
You are very powerful women, very powerful. I tend to think that the bit about sexism, what underlies sexism, is the need to be relevant when they're not. But you are.
You are relevant. You are powerful.
Yeah.
You are not lacking. Just like everything wants to tell you you're lacking, whether it's from selling you makeup and anything that will take away a wrinkle to whatever. It's a constant telling you that you lack.
Mm-hmm.
And we believe it. We believe that we are. And so we have to shift our belief system and our understanding of that you are just so powerful, and you can move energy, and you have an incredible heart space to bring truth and light to the lies and the darkness of this world. And we are here at this time to bring that change in.
Yeah. The other thing is to look at the history, because in England a long time ago, many centuries ago, women stood up together and refused to pay the taxes that they were imposing. In the 19th century, women in Texas, for example, decided they would all live inside the same house and deny access to their bodies until they stopped warring, fighting. And there was a woman in Oregon, Lois Weisberger, who wrote a book about women refusing to let men fight with each other. The Nobel Peace Prize was given to women in Liberia who stood up to the men who were warring and stood in the middle of them fighting with each other with guns. And they figured out that the secret of getting the men to stop fighting with each other, when they got together for peace negotiations, but they were just partying, they decided in their culture it was sacred for women to keep their breasts covered. They threatened them. They said, if you don't start making peace, we're going to start exposing our breasts. And
there you go.
And they won. So read that history, study that history, look at the films about those histories, because they had ideas and they had strength and they had the numbers and they fought really hard. The only reason you can vote is because women gave up their lives to make it possible for you to vote. The only reason that you have the law enforcement around marital rape is because women stood up and said no more. And they stood up in numbers, and they stood up with great risk. So it's really important to understand that history, to not let that history be silenced.
And there's many more stories like that.
Yeah.
That going to show the energy, that divine feminine energy coming in, and that wisdom, and the non-war energy.
Mm-hmm.
And so very powerful. after our conversations with Willow, women need to learn the power of language and words. Yeah.
At a
And
time when language and words are being challenged. Yeah.
yes. And not to use it towards each other.
Right. That's right.
Right. Okay. So did we have a few minutes? Did we want to should we
bring her back in?
Yeah. Do you want to talk to?
Yeah.
Okay. So you have questions and stuff for her, so I can just.
Well, I would like to ask her how she thinks women should reclaim their power.
Okay. Daughters of Truth. Okay, so you see in these generations coming up examples of women standing in their power and their truth. You see it coming. You see it coming in, and them not allowing any narrative to oppress them and tell them differently. You can't tell this generation differently. She says, but for us, and when I say us, I mean, the older generations, to take back what was taken from us over the years. You may grieve the loss of those years. You can grieve what was taken away from you, but you're not to sit in that grief any longer. We're not to sit in bitterness. We're not to sit in grief. We're not to sit in the powerlessness of things being taken from us any longer. We are to step into our power. We are to step into our higher selves, our power, whatever language you have for that. Step into the light, ladies and gentlemen. Step into the light. No longer hand over don't it's sorry, I'm trying to she's showing me a picture here, and she's saying if you're standing there on a crowded street and someone stops you against your will and is trying to take your free will, hand them something that, so this is metaphor. So if you're in a situation of oppression of some sort, it's like, it's like hand them something empty hand them a fake diamond. You know what I mean? It's like but I can't figure out what she means by this. So that's why I'm a little paused here. Let me see if she can explain that. Don't freely. Okay, so it's about when you freely hand over your free will. If you're in a situation where you're freely handing it over, you know that you are, right? You know that you're, let's say, you're in a job and you work right alongside someone, you have the same skill set, you have the same education, yet that he gets, gets paid way more than you do. You have free will in that. So, but you allow them to take your free will in that if you stay there. So start taking control, start stepping into your power and say, no longer. And this, so really, and again, for us, yes, you can grieve, you can be bitter, you can get angry, but also take action and step back into your power, take back your free will. Now, release and take it back and go forward. Don't walk the earth an injured bird. You don't have to. You don't have to be an injured bird because your free will was taken from you for the last 50 years. You don't have to. You can release that, take back your power, and move forward whole and complete. Okay. Do you have any questions?
How did she do it?
She's saying, I looked in the mirror and I saw a powerful human being looking back. I saw someone of value. I saw human. And I am valued and I am of value. And I knew that I was. And I know that you are. And I wanted to fight for all those who found themselves underneath someone's boot.
I think the hardest thing is to reclaim your power against someone you love, you think you love, you feel you have a history of loving, and they're not treating you well. How to break that bond and reclaim you in the face of a loving relationship. And of course, what they understand, if they have their foot on your neck, they think that's love. That's not love. No. So.
And so that links back to an earlier system of old narratives that told you that that's only what you were worth. So understanding your worth would be helpful in those situations. And once that light bulb goes on, there's no turning back. Telling you that. It's a beautiful, beautiful place, a beautiful thing. Does anybody, did you see any questions come in for her from anybody from the chat?
I didn't look.
Oh, okay. Anybody have a question for Maya while she's here? I don't see any. Yeah. Okay. This is a good point. Yeah. Forgiving the dead. Yeah. Yes. Forgiving the dead. That's important too. Like they can be dead and gone, but that oppression is that thumbprint energy is still here playing out over and over again. Every single person has value. However, the religious rulers in our nations have successfully convinced women they are less than and unworthy and shameful to even be here. I know. And we're fighting against that. Lisa says, talking about it all as we are here is an excellent step toward making a shift happen. 100%, we are making the shit happen. We are making this shit happen. Lisa,
You just
yes.
couldn't hide that word. No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's happening right now while we're talking about it.
In the 70s and the 80s, we had music. You don't have a lot of it right now. So that's another place in the arts to start and make music that make art that reaffirms our
yes,
we're okay. We're beautiful the way we are.
we have a couple artists doing that. We have Taylor Swift and we have Miley Cyrus.
Yeah, who just did. I don't know if you saw the video
You
of her.
sent it to me. You sent it to me. Yeah.
I sent it to you, but about Santa Claus.
Yeah.
Yeah, she rewrote the lyrics. Yes.
Yeah. That was cute. But yeah, so we do have a couple coming up, and I do feel this new generation coming in, they have something to say. And they will be taking back their wings. The abuse, torture, and theft of power being told in the news in Israel right now is indicative of the world issues and the underlining energy that's been kind of kind of covered and under the rug. All these things are going to be coming to the surface. And looking at, I'm just looking real close. I'm looking real quick at the notes that I took. Because there's quite a bit coming up. Oh, the UN. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yes. I see in 2020, you guys are getting a little sneak peek of the 2024 predictions here. The UN in 2024 will be weeding out any corruption within the UN, taking a stand against countries oppressing women. So we're going to see something like that. I don't know how the UN works or anything. Out of my wheelhouse, I have lots of good things in my wheelhouse. I just don't have that. Anyways, however it works, but they are going to be taking a stand against countries that are oppressing women. So I don't know how that looks, or maybe I can spend some more time, dive into that particular part, but that's what they're showing. Yes. And okay. Oh, okay. So I have a whole stream of women here from the other side. All countries here presented in the standing against countries. This energy. There's a spiritual battle going on here, so to speak. So, and when I say spiritual battle, they just bring with light and love and exposing the dark, and the dark has no room in the light, right? So I'm not saying warring with guns and swords or anything like that. Literally just the light and coming from that space, the wisdom and the power of that coming into the dark. The dark has no room with the light. You bring a candle into the darkest room and it has no chance. The darkness has no chance against the candle, right? The one little candle, can you imagine? So there is a big energy push and help from the other side. So our prayers mean something. So when we ask, when we pray for energy for the collective and the collective conscious, and we pray for all our energy, all our essences to come together and bring light to this situation. It really brings in, because there is no really here or there or whatever. Those on the other side are part of that as well. This is the thing. Like, this is the globe is changing, and everybody's involved, not just us physical little people down here.
Well, we've barely scratched the surface, really.
Yeah.
Tony is bringing up a couple things. One is about safety in the protests, but the other is about hip hop music being doing a lot of sexual denigration stuff, and she wanted to know if she's alone in that. She's not alone in that. In fact, I just saw a show this week where African American women are saying to African American men, your music is basically putting your foot on our necks, and someday you're going to need us, both to mother your children or to be a partner or whatever, and someday you're going to need us, and you're making us less than human. So stop.
Good.
And I think we need among that
Mhm.
community, we need more work to say enough is enough. Enough is enough. We won't buy your music anymore.
Yeah.
So
and okay, so Tony says, I do hope that women across the United States are able to safely protest from state to state, city to city. And it may not be safe.
it may not be.
It may not be, but we need to be willing to do whatever at this point, because that's the point it's getting. And I'm not predicting any of that, but I can say that sometimes it's just not safe. And but we still need to scream out.
Yeah.
So on that note, we are at time. And I do want to thank everyone for hanging out with us and being a part of this conversation. Please let us know if you want more of these. And as we move forward,
other topics besides what we've talked about.
Yeah, please post any topics in the comments after we close out. In the comments, put topics that you'd like to discuss. We have a very smart person here, right there. So any topics you want to take a look at, and or people that we want to talk to that may have been a person of force and strength while they were here on this plane that we can talk to on the other side. So put their names in as well, and we're gonna do this, guys, together. So excited.
We're going to start the movement. Yes.
Yeah, we just started the movement, guys. And we are shifting the energy. So thank you for being a part of this.
Thank you all.
This team. Love you. Blessings to you, and we'll see you all next time. All right.